Back on Inside Tennessee with the District 1 candidates. Again, the primary is coming up in August. John North.
Folks, we want to shift to another topic which is of significance in the community, and that's the proposed downtown stadium, which let's say it's going to cost $65 million. I know you all are familiar with it. Just like we did in the past block, I'm going to do this with you. Give me a yes or no, and then we'll go deeper into it. So, Tommy, I'm going to start with you. Yes or no, do you support this project?
I don't think we're at a yes or no point, so I appreciate you putting the binary decision in front of me, but we don't have enough information yet, and I want to hear more from the community.
Okay, Ms. Murphy, yes or no?
I, too, am not at a yes and no point. I'm not an expert in bond issues for sports stadiums, and so I really have to sit back and see what the Sports Authority is going to come out in terms of numbers before I can say one way or the other.
I appreciate that. And David Hayes, your thoughts, yes or no?
I think from my experience working in the community, I'm able to give an informed answer of I do not believe that the city should be engaging in this project. If the county wants to go ahead and support this and spearhead this, they can. But as a city government, we should not be engaging in the Sports Authority. We should not be giving our public dollars to this project.
Okay, I'm going to keep you on the spot. I sort of thought you might say that. What are the things that trouble you the most about this idea? Because a lot of people, proponents say, hey, this is going to generate jobs, it's going to raise property taxes, it's going to do all kinds of great things.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to look at who is benefiting, right? This is an area that is a historically black neighborhood, a historically black area. It used to be called the bottom, right? So when we think about development in that area, we should be thinking about how are we uplifting the working class folks, how are we uplifting the African American and black community in that area, right? Instead of just saying, how can we cater to whatever billionaire's project is, what they want to do. We should be looking at our community and looking at not only making short-term jobs, but be investing in long-term jobs, long-term business development, right? And creating systemic change in our community. Because this will do nothing but, like you said, increase prices and increase tourism. And at the end of the day, local residents will be left out. And more people will be prioritized who shouldn't be prioritized. And there's better options, there's better ways to develop that area to actually help the community and be uplifted.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Murphy, you want to elucidate? Go further.
Well, like I said, I think I need to see more of the numbers before I can get behind it one way or the other. But I think there's major issues pressing the city more so than the baseball stadium. So.
Thank you. And Tommy, I guessed wrong. I thought you'd be a yes. So tell me why you've got questions.
Because there's three things that are really important about the baseball opportunity. One is, do the people around it want it? And I think I've heard a pretty strong yes from the people who live closest to it. But that's the most important thing. And that includes public access, it includes housing, affordable housing, and it includes the economic benefits. So I want to hear more from folks who are right near that property. It is private property, so it's not as if the city gets to just determine whatever we want to do with it. The second thing that's really important is, can the city afford it? So to your point, I'm not a yes yet because I don't know the number yet. I think you mentioned a $60 million number. There's been a few numbers thrown around, but I want to make sure the city's not burdened with something we can't sustain. The third element is, what happens when baseball ends? So baseball may not last forever. So what happens to make sure that the city's not responsible for the development or any funding that doesn't follow through in year 5, 10, 20, and 50? I think it's really important to understand what responsibility we have and what liability we have if we ever part ways. But generally speaking, I think the community closest to it has said yes so far. So I appreciate that. The other thing that's really important is we have 1,000 affordable rental units right there around that property. So while this isn't necessarily driving me to a yes or no, it's important to consider that the most important thing is that we don't displace folks. And we have built in 1,000 units of affordable housing that are somewhat or fully subsidized. And that's what you want to make sure. There are other cities who have done sport or multi-purpose stadiums that have displaced folks. And we can invest without displacing. And so that's one of the things I want to make sure doesn't happen.
We only have a couple minutes. I want to get to two other questions. One, Ms. Murphy, yes or no, there's an effort afoot to put a property tax cap on the city. Good idea, bad idea?
Very good idea. Actually, when I go to door, I'm collecting signatures for that position.
All right, Mr. Hayes, good idea or bad idea, set aside whether it's legal or not.
It is a bad idea if the city hopes to actually address systemic issues such as poverty in our community. But at the same time, we must not be increasing the tax burden on poor and working class people. So we need to actually increase taxes in certain areas, but decrease the tax burden on many in our community. So it's a catch-22, but I am not for this amendment.
Mr. Smith, again, setting aside whether it's legal or not.
No, mainly because the city's in great financial position. We have the highest bond rating we've had as a city. We have the lowest debt we've had in 20 or 30 years. We have the lowest property tax rate we've had in 30 years. And I think we don't need it at the moment, but also I think it's misleading. The way property taxes are set up or established is, yes, the city has control of it, but every year, based on housing prices or housing values, the state recalibrates our property taxes. And what that does is it basically lowers our property taxes without the city having to increase it. So the city can just increase the property tax rate in the future if it needs, regardless. And so I think it's misleading to folks asking them to sign that. The third reason that I think is really important is if you think fire and police compensation, training are important, reducing those taxes limits our ability to pay firefighters and police officers to have the best public safety department we have. And so I think it's a bad idea. We're in good financial shape, and I think first responders will suffer.
Tommy Smith, Elizabeth Murphy, David Hayes, we appreciate your time this morning. Best of luck to all of you in the primary, and we'll be back on Inside Tennessee right after this.